There's this famous historical quote about Samuel Colt, the guy who invented the revolver.
Oh, yeah.
It goes, uh, God created men, Colt made them equal. Because, like, before that invention, if you were heading into a conflict, the side with the bigger army or, just the bigger soldiers, they usually won.
Right. It was just basic physics.
Exactly. But the revolver didn't care how big the other guy was. It didn't favor the massive army. It really only favored the person who actually knew how to use it. It was like the ultimate equalizer.
It completely neutralized those, entrenched structural advantages literally overnight.
Yeah.
The old rules of power just kind of evaporated because the technology fundamentally changed the mechanics of the engagement.
Well, welcome to the deep dive.
Mm.
Because today we were looking at the new Colt revolver. But instead of the Wild West, we were talking about a massive, quiet revolution that's happening right now in the real estate market.
This is happening fast, too.
It really is. The entire starting point for buying and selling a home is completely changing. And in the process, it's shifting power away from these billion-dollar tech giants and placing it directly into your hands, the informed consumer.
And we've got a really fascinating stack of sources to synthesize today. We're looking at internal strategy memos, plus some cutting-edge consumer data reports from late 2025 and early 2026.
Yeah, the new stuff.
Right. And what they detail with just startling clarity is how artificial intelligence is fundamentally replacing traditional real estate portals.
It's wild. The billion-dollar national brokerage and that tiny, two-person real estate team in your hometown, they are now pulling from the exact same AI layer.
Completely equal footing.
Yeah. The AI doesn't care about a massive company's brand spend. It doesn't care about their flashy Super Bowl commercials. It only cares about who have the best, most specific information. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
To understand how this equalizer is being wielded by people, we really have to look at the very first step of your real estate journey and how it has completely transformed.
Well, for about a decade now, the real estate portal, think of sites like Zillow or Redfin. That was the undisputed front door.
Right, everyone started there.
Exactly. The consumer behavior was universally identical. You typed a zip code into a search box, you looked at a map covered in little dots, you checked an automated price estimate, and you just endlessly scrolled.
Endlessly. But relying on that map, it's kind of like walking into a massive grocery store with no signs.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Like you have to walk down every single aisle, inspecting every single shelf.
Yeah.
Just hoping you stumble on the exact ingredients you need for dinner. It takes forever. You have to do all the heavy lifting.
And consumers are just bypassing that search box entirely now.
Yeah, they are.
Instead of opening a map, you're opening ChatGPT or Perplexity or Google AI, and you're just starting a conversation.
It's no longer the grocery store. It's like having a personal chef.
Exactly.
You just tell the chef what you want, what your dietary restrictions are, and they go to the farmer's market, pick the best ingredients, and basically just serve you the meal.
And what's really fascinating here is the sheer velocity of this behavioral shift. According to an August 2025 survey from Realtor.com, a staggering 82% of Americans are already using AI for real estate insights.
Wait, 82%?
82%. It's a massive adoption in a very short window. And it goes way deeper than just novelty, When asked what actually makes them smarter about the market, 61% of consumers pointed to AI.
Okay, let's give that number some context, because that feels really high for a relatively new technology.
Yeah.
How does that 61% compare to people who rely on, actual human real estate agents?
It is a literal statistical tie.
Wow.
Yeah, 62% of consumers said human agents make them smarter, and 61% said AI.
That's crazy.
The AI has already drawn completely, even as a trusted information source. We aren't projecting this for the year 2030, This is the current verifiable state of play.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if your front door is moving from those classic map portals to a conversational AI, how are the giant real estate incumbents reacting? I mean, they built their entire empires on being your starting point.
Oh, they are panicking. And they are spending serious money to try and defend their territory.
Oh, for sure.
Incumbents like Zillow, Compass, Keller Williams with their Keller Cloud, and Redfin, which, by the way, recently sold to Rocket Mortgage, which is a massive signal that the standalone portal economics are just failing.
Definitely.
They're all spending defensively to keep you on their platforms, but they are up against the tech hyperscalers.
Let's pause and define what we mean by hyperscalers for a second. We're talking about the massive cloud infrastructure providers.
Yes. The actual titans building the physical architecture of the internet and AI. In 2026 alone, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle are collectively committing between $660 and $690 billion in capital expenditure.
Billion with a B.
With a B. And of that, roughly $450 billion is directed specifically at AI infrastructure. So servers, data centers, advanced GPUs. OpenAI alone is announcing $1 trillion in infrastructure deals.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me push back here a bit.
Sure.
That $690 billion isn't dedicated to real estate.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft isn't spending hundreds of billions of dollars just to help me find a 3-bedroom ranch in Ohio.
Right.
That money is for everything.
Yeah.
Healthcare, autonomous driving, enterprise software. So is it really fair to compare that directly to, say, Zillow's tech budget?
It is entirely fair, and that is exactly why the brokerages are absolutely terrified.
Really?
Yes, because you're right, Microsoft isn't building a real estate portal, they are building a general-purpose reasoning layer.
Okay.
But that reasoning layer is so undeniably powerful that it makes the very concept of a localized, specialized real estate portal structurally less relevant. The brokerages are defending this tiny moat, while the hyperscalers are flooding the entire valley. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the spending we see from the real estate incumbents is what we call a spending confession.
A spending confession?
Yeah, their budget allocations are a confession that their core business model is under existential threat.
And this really matters to you, the listener, as a buyer or seller, because the tool you're going to use for your next transaction isn't being built by a real estate company. It's being built by the biggest tech companies on earth. So if you're Zillow or any major brokerage, and you realize you can never, ever outspend OpenAI on servers, what's your only remaining play, you take your ball and go home. You try to hide the inventory.
And that is the exact pivot we are seeing. They are heavily pushing what are called private listing networks.
Right.
Take Howard Hanna's Hanalist network entering the Philadelphia market, for example. The strategy is to keep houses off the public multiple listing service, the MLS. They force you to use their specific closed platforms to see what is actually for sale.
Which is so frustrating.
It is. And the pitch to the seller is highly psychological. They tell the seller that keeping a listing private creates this aura of exclusivity. They claim it drives up urgency and prestige.
But there is a fatal, almost comical flaw in this master plan. And it all comes down to, well, human nature.
Oh, absolutely.
Specifically, the ego of the self-defeating real estate agent. I mean, what does an agent inherently want to do?
They want to market their own success.
Exactly. They want to look busy, connected, and in demand to their peers and to their future clients.
So the agent secures this supposed private listing, but they simply cannot resist the urge to generate buzz.
Right.
So they post a coming soon teaser reel on their Instagram. They share a few vague photos in a local community Facebook group. A local title company maybe mentions the upcoming closing in an email newsletter.
Wait, let me get this straight. The more aggressively an agent tries to market a secret listing to look successful on social media, the faster the AI scrapes it, effectively ruining the secret and handing it to anyone who asks.
Yes, that is exactly what happens.
But how does the AI even do that if the listing isn't on the official MLS?
Because the AI does not rely on a single official database anymore, it is scraping the entire web. The LLMs are constantly ingesting public APIs, they're buying massive data sets from third-party data brokers, and they are reading the digital footprints left all across the open internet.
The breadcrumbs.
Yes. Every Instagram post, every Facebook comment, every newsletter blast is a digital breadcrumb. The AI algorithm maps those breadcrumbs. So the listing the agent calls private is frequently the exact listing the AI surfaces first. Private is virtually an impossible state on the modern internet.
That is hilarious. The agent's own marketing destroys the walled garden they're trying to build. So the AI just grabs this hidden data and hands it to me, the consumer, without me ever having to join the brokerage's private club.
Which completely breaks the information asymmetry.
It totally does. But if you are listening to this and getting ready to sell your house, you really need to pay attention to the penalty here. What does this actually mean for the seller who agreed to keep their house off the market?
Well, it means they are actively damaging their own financial interests for an exclusivity that just doesn't exist.
Ouch.
The data on this from Lisa Sturdivant at Bright MLS is definitive. Private listings sit for an average of 37 days on the market.
37 days?
Yes. Contrast that with just 20 days for regular, public, MLS-listed properties. By limiting their exposure to try and manufacture exclusivity, sellers are nearly doubling their days on market.
And in real estate, time on market is the enemy of price.
Always. You are inherently increasing your price risk just to help a brokerage hoard data.
That is a staggering penalty to pay just to stroke an ego. Seriously, if you're selling, put it on the open market.
But let's flip it to the buyer's perspective, because this creates a really interesting dynamic.
It does. The AI acts as the ultimate detective.
Hmm.
Follows the breadcrumbs, finds that secret listing on an agent's Instagram, and hands it directly to you. That sounds like a massive win for the consumer. You bypass the gatekeepers entirely.
It sounds great on paper.
Right, but actually it introduces a really dangerous trap.
And this raises an important question. When you use an AI to bypass the traditional search and you find an off-market private listing, what is your next move?
Right.
For most people, the AI provides the name and number of the listing agent right there in the chat interface, so the consumer just calls them directly to go see the house.
And boom, the trap snaps shut.
Yeah.
Because you have absolutely no representation.
None.
Imagine walking into a courtroom to stand trial and deciding to use the prosecutor's lawyer to defend you just because they happen to be standing by the door. That is essentially what you are doing when you call the listing agent on a private AI-found home.
That is a perfect analogy for the representation gap. The listing agent is a fiduciary for the seller. A fiduciary is legally obligated to act in the best financial interests of their client above all else. In places like Pennsylvania, the buyer's agent owes fiduciary duty to the buyer, and the listing agent owes it to the seller.
Makes sense.
So if you contact that listing agent directly without your own buyer's agent, you are walking into a negotiation against a seasoned professional whose literal job description is to extract the most money from you possible.
It creates a dual agency conflict. You think you're getting a deal because you found a secret house, but you're actually walking in completely exposed.
Completely exposed.
The AI is brilliant at giving you the data. It can unearth the hidden inventory faster than any human, but AI cannot negotiate a contract.
No, it can't.
It cannot read the subtle body language of a seller during an inspection contingency. It cannot serve as your legal shield.
The private network didn't protect you. It just set the conditions for a severe information and representation imbalance. The informed consumer must engage their own representation before acting on the AI's discovery.
Yeah, that's key.
Use the AI to find the house, then call your own agent and say, hey, Perplexity just surfaced this off-market property on Elm Street. Let's go get it.
Okay, so if the AI is handing you all this hidden inventory and the traditional portals are losing their grip, it forces a massive reckoning about trust.
Big time.
If anyone can publish anything, how do you know if the AI isn't just hallucinating a great house or, feeding you garbage data? So what does this all mean for how information is ranked?
It all comes down to what we call the citation layer and the mechanics of building epistemic credibility.
Epistemic credibility. I love that term.
What a great concept.
It basically means credibility based on actual demonstrated knowledge, not just how big your billboard on the highway is. Right?
Exactly. On a traditional search engine or portal, prominence is bought. Traditional search engines use an algorithm heavily influenced by PageRank. They look at how many links point to a big brand's website, and they look at ad spend.
Sure, whoever spends the most wins.
Right. A massive national brokerage wins because they have massive domain authority and a huge marketing budget. But the rules of the AI engine are fundamentally different.
Okay.
LLMs use semantic understanding. They mathematically reward the density of highly relevant hyperlocal facts. AI doesn't care about a brokerage's ad budget. It cares about specificity and depth.
The way we interact with these tools really proves that. Let's look at ChatGPT. The average prompt length on ChatGPT is 60 words.
Which is huge.
Think about that for a second. When you go to a traditional search engine, you type 3 words. Houses for sale, Philadelphia. But on ChatGPT, you are typing highly contextual paragraphs.
Right.
You're asking, what should I know before selling an inherited house in Pennsylvania that needs a new roof, considering the current interest rates?
And because the query is that complex, the AI needs deep, highly specific content to map against it. Generic marketing fluff won't answer a 60-word prompt.
It won't.
Or look at Google AI mode. The data shows that 93% of searches in Google AI mode end without a single click to an external site.
93%. So the AI answer isn't a search engine result page anymore. The AI answer is the final destination. You never even visit the brokerage's website.
It is the destination. And then look at Perplexity, which handles about 15% of all AI referral traffic right now. In February 2026, Perplexity completely abandoned its advertising model.
Wow.
They concluded that pure trust is their only product. You literally cannot buy your way into a Perplexity answer. Their citation model is ad-free by design.
So if I'm a real estate agent and I can't buy my way to the top of the page anymore, how do I get cited? Like, how do I prove epistemic credibility?
Through immense depth, the AI strongly favors substantive, comprehensive content. For example, AI overviews that present long-form responses, we're talking over 6,600 characters, cite an average of 28 different sources.
That's a lot of referencing.
It mathematically craves deep, specific analysis. And here is the kicker for the real estate industry. AI consistently recommends the exact same brand 87% of the time for a given query. If you win the citation layer, you win the entire market.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this down to earth with a real-world example from the memos. Imagine a massive national brokerage with billions in venture capital backing. They publish a generic 500-word blog post about the spring housing market.
The typical fluff.
Right. Now picture a tiny two-person real estate team in Westchester. They don't have a marketing budget. But that two-person team takes 3 days to write and publish a deeply researched 6,000-word article analyzing exactly how new local zoning changes in Chester County will impact the property values of historic homes.
In the old portal model, the national brand crushes the two-person team with their SEO budget.
Right.
On AI, the two-person team in Westchester wins every single time.
That is amazing.
When a user asks a complex question about Westchester real estate, the AI bypasses the national brand entirely. It cites the local team because their semantic density and hyperlocal facts map perfectly to the user's prompt. True expertise is quite literally the only moat left.
It is Samuel Colt all over again.
Exactly.
The AI equalizer doesn't care how big the other guy is. It just cares who put the most credible, specific information into the knowledge layer. So for you, the listener, how do you actually apply this? How do you change your behavior to wield this equalizer today?
First, stop typing keywords. Start asking long, conversational, highly contextual questions. Treat the AI like a senior research assistant.
Yeah, talk to it like a person.
Second, and this is crucial, always check the citations. Look at who wrote the data the AI is feeding you. Is it a generic auto-generated report, or is it a local expert detailing actual case studies? Verify the receipts.
And use the AI to do your homework before you hire an agent. Don't use AI to replace the human agent. Use it so that when you sit down at the table with them, you arrive as an informed equal. You've already pulled the days on market data. You already understand the dual agency risks. You are armed with the facts.
As you adapt to this new reality, I want to leave you with one final, slightly mind-bending concept to ponder.
Oh boy, okay.
Everything we've discussed today, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI, overviews, all of that is reactive AI. You ask a question and it gives you an answer based on its index. You still have to initiate the prompt.
Right, I have to know I want to move before I ask the AI about it.
For now.
Uh-oh.
But the next phase, the phase currently being funded by that $690 billion in capital expenditure we talked about, is agentic AI.
Okay, what is that?
Imagine a near future where you don't even have to ask the question. What happens when your personal AI agent is autonomously 247 monitoring county deed records? It's tracking tax signals, looking at ownership duration, analyzing local economic shifts, and identifying a distressed property in the exact neighborhood you want.
Oh, wow. So it's doing the detective work in the background while I sleep.
Exactly. What happens when your AI initiates contact to secure that off-market property before the seller has even consciously decided to put the house on the market? It predicts the transaction before the human intent is even fully formed.
That completely shatters the timeline of a real estate transaction. Like, it's not just finding the hidden inventory, it's predicting the inventory. That is wild to think about.
It changes everything about who holds the power, moving it entirely to the entity with the best predictive reasoning.
It absolutely does.
Oh.
Well, that is all the time we have for this deep dive. I want to encourage you to keep questioning your sources, keep checking those citations, and above all, stay curious. Remember, the tools are out there, and they don't care how big the institutions are that try to stand in your way. God created the real estate market, but AI made us equal. We'll see you next time.